Are you frustrated? How do you feel like as a woman?
Frustrated. I am just
I
like
get
a
this,
deep.
folks. They're still frustrated.
I feel like I am frequently like a kind of open sinkhole of like unmet desire. Like I'm just like teeming with like an unreciprocated like horniness that is just like, it's just like nobody cares. I get my advances often get treated like Epstein-like. Like I just am like, I'm so intense in my personality, and even though like my sexual execution is not great, like my pen is there, and so like I can really like articulate how I'm feeling. Can my body follow through? Not really, and that's what sucks about me.
Welcome back to the motherfucking Practical Advice for Weird Little Guys. Too long of a goddamn title podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fucking back, baby. On account of me getting access to a credit card after 2 years of being denied by every bank in America, ladies and gentlemen, we have a cash flow yet again. $5,000 free dollars. Who the hell would have thought? I am thrilled to be back.
You're gonna be so fucked.
Oh yes, I've already spent about 500 of it, and don't even ask me on what.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, you guys hear that voice? We have an absolutely incredible guest in the studio today, and y'all know the drill. Make some fucking noise in the studio audience for the absolutely so unbelievably talented and funny Ivy Wolk.
Hi, Tucker.
Hi, Ivy. Welcome to the show.
You just got a credit card?
I just got a credit card.
I refuse to ever get a credit card.
Same.
But you did.
I know. I ran out of money completely. I have 89 cents right now.
What do you do for work?
I do edit. I like edit video and make stuff. I actually have a lot of money coming in, but I'm freelance, so it comes 30 days later.
Right.
You know, but I'm gonna
You have 89 cents to your name,
and I have about 4 cents in savings. I've never been so poor in my life. It's hilarious. I'm kind of one of the great losers of our time. I'm sort of a what would you call it? Like a master class in being a straight white loser.
Yeah, but you're handsome and charismatic, so you'll be okay.
Thank you, Queen. That's what I tell myself all the time.
Bitches will be throwing it back on you regardless.
I still get some chicks despite my fucking financial situation.
It's some real like homeless ass motherfuckers out here getting ass.org. So
I know. I'm doing just fine. Now, Ivy, I do want to say before we even get started here, I just want to compliment you up top. I find you to be low-key gifted.
Yeah, many would say.
And maybe, and like you might have like a certain star quality to you that I find many people do not possess.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and you're incredibly funny.
Thank you, Tucker.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. I just wanted you to know that up top. We kind of just met, but I do feel like I know you.
Yeah, I make myself very accessible.
Yes.
I believe that secrets kill.
Yes, which is charming of you. Incredible.
I think that everybody should have access to everybody else's hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing I like about you a lot is you're very authentic. Mm-hmm. Can I ask you this? And this is our first question. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you're mentally ill or just willing to be openly you?
Both.
Talk to me.
I am very mentally ill, but I would I'm an OG crash out. Like they done lock my ass up, but I am also like, even when I am doing well, I'm still like, I have a very very strong artistic ethos, and so I'm very committed to being consistent in what it is that I share and how I express myself, regardless of whether or not I'm like on drugs, like on the street corner with my pussy out, or if I'm like healthy and happy and kumbayaing.
And where do you think that came from? What were you like as a kid?
I was weird as a kid.
Right,
I'm autistic, and so I was like, like a very just like, all the teachers were like, to my mother, they're like, your daughter, she's very smart, but just like not suited for real life. Like kind of maladjusted in like a clinical way, like kind of we're really confused as to what's wrong with her, but her personality is like fucking whack, like desk in the hallway type shit, like just causing mad problem. I was a problem child. I caused fucking issues, and not even intentionally. I didn't mean to like stir the pot or like provoke, but just like by way of like being myself and like not having a filter, I made a lot of people very angry constantly.
Are your parents European, or what are they?
They're American.
Okay. You're giving me like Eastern Bloc, Would you say where are you from?
It's like in my blood, like Belarusian,
Okay, there it is.
Polish.
Right, you have a certain brutal honesty to you that I find very Eastern European.
Yeah, I think if I were to go there, they would appreciate me.
Yes, certainly.
I think if I were to make my birthright.
Were you like a loser in high school, or did people fuck with you a lot? I was a loser.
I was famous. So I've been famous on the internet since I was 13.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I've always been very weird and like a very divisive personality, and people always had really strong opinions about me. Everybody knew who I was. Yeah. Everybody knew who I was even before I was famous on the internet, because I just made myself so known and so present, regardless of whether they liked it or not. You know, there was never any sort of ambivalence about me. Like, I wasn't ever somebody, and still am not somebody, that you can kind of just shrug off and have like a middle of the road opinion on. Like, I evoke really strong feelings in people, and that's kind of how I was my entire life.
And what were you famous? You were famous on YouTube?
Instagram, TikTok.
Okay, nice. What
comedy.
were you doing on there?
Comedy videos.
Just saying wild shit, posting wild shit?
Writing jokes and like figuring it out.
What was that like, being kind of famous?
And
for the
was
listeners,
hard.
you're 20 years old, so you're a pretty, what are you, Gen Z?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's like people have very strong reactions to me, and so while I have like a very like fervent fans, I also have like vehement haters, and so people are really they react very aggressively towards me because I think the way I present myself and the way I show up is confronting to them. It's confronting to their sort of cagey or like woke scoldy sensibilities.
Well, one of our big things on this pod, and for all the fucking weird little guys, they know the drill. Rule number one is you simply must be yourself, and you simply must be authentic at all fucking costs.
Absolutely. I think otherwise you're killing yourself slowly.
Yeah. Where do you think? Why do you think you chose that path instead? Did you see someone being fake? I find people who are full of shit to be incredibly frustrating to be around.
I find them to be very frustrating to be around, but also just because of the way my brain is wired, there really is no other way that I know how to operate.
Yeah.
Like there was never any sort of like with autistic women, there's like a thing of like masking, so it's like sort of presenting like a normalcy, and like I can do that on like a technical sense of like, you know, making it through a conversation or like, you know, knowing what to say like at a store or whatever, but it's like in terms of my actual personality, like that, concealing that or pretending that it is something that is not has always been something that felt entirely impossible to me. Always from a young age felt like trying to speak in a language that I like, or like read a book out loud in a language I didn't speak. Yeah. And so there was just never any other way for me to be, because it literally feels impossible.
Interesting. You know, I feel like that's incredibly mature. I feel like that takes people many years to get to the bottom of.
I think
Did
many
something
people
happen to you? No, you don't have to say it if it.
I mean, I had like a bad childhood.
Right.
Like I had like a rough, I would call it a rough childhood. It wasn't like one big thing, but it was just like kind of L after L.
Right. And
I kind of had an L-ful childhood.
Do you want to talk about it at all, or?
I mean, sure. What do you want to know?
What happened?
What happened?
What was the worst thing that ever happened to you?
I mean, it's hard to.
Sorry.
It's hard because, again, it wasn't like one big event, but I was very sick as a child. I was like a sickly little girl. And so I spent most of my childhood like kind of being like a medical anomaly. I had like a team of like 6 doctors that like would meet in a boardroom to talk about my case. So most of my childhood, I spent a lot of it kind of feeling like I was on the outside looking in. Childhood felt very oppressive to me also because I didn't understand why children couldn't be let in on the things that adults are being let in on, because I always felt like cognitively I was very advanced. And so at a certain point, my mother would just tell me things that were going on that other people would be like, that's so inappropriate for you to tell your 10-year-old. And she'd be like, well, she understands the gravity of it.
Interesting.
You know? Like I just was like a deep thinker. I was very sad. I was so depressed as a child. I tried to kill myself for the first time when I was 7. I was like just very depressed.
That's incredibly young.
Felt very like kind of on the outside of real life. Had like a very vivid imagination. Was just always felt very kind of emotionally wounded by my surroundings. I was again very sick and just like kind of never physically doing well, and so I couldn't do things that other children could do. And I was just like, I didn't have like, I grew up poor and my father wasn't really around, and so I just like, you know, I had just like this childhood that I felt very trapped by all the way up until I was like 15 when I decided like my life had to be my own, and I like got a fake ID so I could be like a comedy club groupie, and like all my friends in high school were in their 20s and 30s because they were just people that I met in comedy clubs.
Which then heightens the growing up.
Yeah.
You're around all these mature
Yeah, and
input.
those are all, you know, a lot of those people are still my best friends to this day. And I felt very like protected by them and loved by them, and because they didn't see me really as like a little kid. Like they were like, we understand your age, and so, you know, we have to like shepherd you in some ways, but mostly it's like you understand how we feel about things.
Right.
And yeah, I just decided, when I was 15 or 16, like my life is just going to be my own. Like being a young person feels deeply oppressive, and I don't want to have to be stuck in this like system that reminded me so much of like how horrible my early childhood, my early schooling was, and just like being told by adults that I wasn't behaving the right way or that I reacted to things too strongly because they didn't understand like my autistic brain. And so I just decided I like had to make my life look like exactly what I wanted it to look like.
God, you are incredibly intelligent. I feel like people do. I know full-grown men who have not figured these things out about themselves.
Well, men can get away with that for a lot longer
That is so
than
true.
women. Like women,
Guilty.
yeah. If a woman is like 25 and she's still a mess, people are like, well, you know, what are we gonna do about Sarah? But like if a guy is like 35 and he's just like falling over drunk, throwing up on himself like at the comedy club like a fucking mess, people are like, well, you know, Joe's just like a funny guy.
Right, you're absolutely. You find that frustrating that men.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I find it so unfair and so frustrating. Because
Can I say, I think one of the big driving factors in the difference between men and women, not to go all here we go on you, but is that women have like a clock, and so they're like really, they have expectations out of people because they're like, we have to figure this shit, and men have no clock.
Yeah.
So they're free to kind of just fuck around forever.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
literally a crazy way to live.
Yeah.
Because like I had no other option. I mean, also like circumstantially, I guess it depends, but I had no other option but to get my shit together. I dropped out of college at 18 because and moved here because I was like, I can't do this fucking college bullshit anymore. I was already working. I've been making my own money since I was like 13 or 14 years old, helping financially support my mother. Like I moved out and I moved to New York by myself because I was like, I don't have any other option. Like, and the reason I had to get sober, the reason I had to like really get right with my fucking self and like get sane again after like a year-long just like disastrous like suicidal psychotic crash out is because like I literally have nothing to fall back on. Like I will never experience like the malaise of like the post-grad year where you're like, should I get an internship or should I just like move back in with my parents and like figure it out? Like I don't have that.
Yeah.
Because if I don't
You have
step up to
poverty
the plate.
brain.
Yes.
Me
If I don't
too,
step
yeah.
up to the fucking plate, who the fuck else gonna do it?
No, you're absolutely. We know. So I grew up incredibly poor as well, and I have very similar feelings where I'm like, I feel like I'm like hyper ambitious out of pure like necessity.
Yes.
You know, where it's not like it's not like a thing I've decided to be. It's like I feel such pressure to not return to the life I used to have to live. Now, granted, I have 86 cents in my bank account.
Right.
But
But
know,
you have the heart.
Yes, I have this. I have the gumption.
Where did you grow up?
North Carolina.
Okay,
Charlotte, North Carolina.
I'm going to Charlotte.
Plug the show right now earlier.
Oh,
It might, the episode might not be out in time.
Okay,
but-
well, if you're watching this before the 17th to the 19th, I'm doing 5 headlining shows at Duckworth's Comedy Club in Charlotte. It's going to be a fucking disaster. I don't know why I agreed to it. I'm in my learn by doing era. I've never
Absolutely.
headlined out of state before. I've never done that much time on stage. It's going to be a fucking mess and a half.
They're gonna love you. You're so funny, Ivy.
I know, but,
really
like,
not to tug your rod here.
I think it's just going to be a lot of dead air, but also I can speak. Like, I can...
you could just talk. You're
I could just talk.
talker.
I think I could just talk. I think I could make it like a live podcast.
Do you find I think one time when I was a kid and I was like driving with my mom, I was like, I don't know how to tell you this, Mom, but like I'm capable of greatness.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, what the fuck are you fucking talking? Do you feel that way? Because I feel like you have a similar energy where you can just tell, you're gifted.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I know that, I mean, for better and for worse, nobody has a mind like mine. Like, nobody is working within, like, the same, like set of references and inspirations and experiences, like the perfect cocktail that made just like such a crazy asshole, like you know. And sometimes that is really amazing because it like gave me my career, but then also it's like a major disadvantage because like I think it makes dating very hard for me because people don't have really anybody to compare me to, and so making sense of me in their heads, like a man trying to make sense of me in his head.
And God knows we gotta be making some sense.
Y'all gotta be making some damn sense. Y'all need to like have something like analogous, like a 1-to-1 of like, wait, she reminds me of like Becky from college. She kind of has like the sense of humor and the heart and the shyness of Becky from college with like kind of the ass from like
of our mother
and then like kind of the smile of like Jane from 3rd grade. But like I kind of don't bring up any like gay men can see in me where the references come from. Like gay men are like, okay, I see, like, you know, you've got the Sandra Bernhard, you've got the Betty Davis, but it's like straight men are like, okay, you're not Emily from soccer,
right? Yeah,
you're not Tammy from the gym. So what the fuck are you, bitch?
Right.
And so that can serve as a major disadvantage.
Do you find that to be liberating or frustrating?
It's very frustrating.
Are you frustrated? How do you feel like as a woman?
Frustrated. I am just like
folks. They're still frustrated.
I feel like I am frequently like a kind of open sinkhole of like unmet desire. Like I'm just like teeming with like an unreciprocated like horniness. Same. That is just like, it's just like nobody cares. I get my advances often get treated like Epstein-like. Like I just am like, I'm so intense in my personality, and even though like my sexual execution is not great, like my pen is there, and so like I can really like articulate how I'm feeling. Can my body follow through? Not really, and that's what sucks about me mostly. Right. But like that's one of the many things that suck about me out of, you know, the 40. But like yeah, I'm very intense in my desire, and oftentimes I just kind of feel like a fucking like incel loser, and so I am frequently very frustrated.
Right? Do you consider yourself like a what do they call one, a femcel?
Yeah, but the femcel thing,
we got one, boys.
I think I'm more in line actually with inceldom than femceldom, because a femcel is like the archetype of the woman is like a little different. The things that they like, the way that what their dreams for themselves are a little different. Like I think like I am more in line with like the male archetype of the incel.
Yeah, I find a femcel to be like they hate men out of like a bizarre rage, not a bizarre, I mean a justified rage, but like a rage, and then they take men out of their life entirely.
Yeah, or they take men out of their life entirely, or they like are like looking for love. Like they're like, no, men only want sex. Like men only want one thing, and I'm like, I want sex. Somebody will fuck me. Like the femcels are like. The femcels are like, I don't want to fuck, like, I just want to be in love, I don't want to just be a hookup, and I'm kind of like, I mean, if somebody were to eat my fucking pussy, that would be nice. Somebody were to want to extend a hand and fucking, you know, put my clit in it, that would be nice. I would like that.
Well, one of the reasons I'm asking these questions, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, and I'm fascinated, is because you're coming up in an age that I'm unfamiliar with. You're like you're dating in the Gen Z era, and I feel like a lot of women and a lot of men are going through what you're going through, your age group, and maybe they don't even talk about it, but it is
it's a disaster.
It's a disaster. What's it like out there?
Very hard.
Are you using apps still?
I'm not, because they're like kind of psychically torturous, but right. I have in the past. I
love your vocab. It's cracking me up.
Thank you. But yeah, it's very hard. I mean, I think I've spoken a lot about this, but like I think coming of age and coming into yourself sexually and romantically in a time where we have been raised with like the tools of cancel culture and like the post-Me Too hysteria has made everybody very cagey sexually, and it makes everybody feel in my generation like if you fuck somebody that you're being watched by like a jury of your peers that are waiting in like lying in wait to like potentially exile you from everything that you know and hold dear and love. I could not agree
more. I think you're so right.
Yeah, and so that makes it very difficult. I mean, I think we're in a very socially isolated time, and sort of people use this word like accountability, which I think really just means like punishment, and like I think like holding people accountable really oftentimes is just a means for like punishing or castigating somebody, when really like I think what actually needs to happen in situations of like sexual misstep or sexual misguidedness is like an inviting in of like a community. And I think that's what this show is good, because it's like you're being like straight up like let's figure this shit out, because really like you're supposed to figure it out on your own. People don't really talk about it very truthfully. They don't talk about what's hard about it, because when it does get hard, then people get worried that that's contentious or inappropriate. Also, I think like, so then, you know, young men and women too, like run to, because they can't make their, you know, sexual fantasies a real thing out of fear of it being moralized or politicized. They become dependent on pornography. But then we have such a lack of like, we have such a lack of, I don't think porn is a bad thing. I think I'm a consumer of porn. I've done sex work. Like I don't consider porn to be a bad thing. I think we have like a major porn literacy problem. And so people do not know how to talk to young people, and young people don't know how to talk to each other about how to talk about porn, because it is like a major sexual outlet. It's like the sexual outlet for everybody of my generation, pretty much. Besides,
and it's not going anywhere either.
And it's not going anywhere. I mean, they're gonna try to criminalize it, and you know, there's now some states where you have to like upload age verification. You have to upload a picture of your fucking passport to jack off, which I think is so insane.
Crazy.
And they're just gonna
in my mom's house.
They're just gonna use that to bolster the surveillance state. But whatever.
Go off, Queen. You're the GOAT.
But you know, I think like we need to. Young people don't know how to talk about what scares us sexually on a person-to-person level, like on a real interpersonal, like emotional or like even logical level. Like we don't know how to sort of rationalize these things. And so then our knee-jerk reaction, because of what we've been taught, how we've been taught to use social media, is to like make it accusatory and penalizing in public in that way. And I think that furthers the isolation. And I know that there is a better way to go about it, but it's hard to sort of look inward and really do the self-reflection to analyze like those urges in yourself. And I mean, I've done things like that I regret, not like making allegations against people, but you know, like I had sex with a guy who like was telling people, I had hooked up with a guy once who like turned out to be just like fucking like a crazy stalker. And he like, you know, I got word that like he took a girl that he stalked and assaulted on a date to see Anora and told her that I was his ex-girlfriend of a very long time.
A classic guy move.
But then, you know, I posted about that on Twitter with his name, and I'm sure there would have been a better way to go about that wouldn't.
No, that's fair.
I know, but it you know, then I think about my own values insofar as like how we talk about these types of things and how we treat each other. And I realized I kind of got caught up in, because it's fun to make a spectacle of it. It's fun to like memeify everything.
Yeah.
And so I think I got caught up in the urge, the like shared cultural instinct to memeify everything. And so I did that. And then I look back on that like months later and I'm like, there must have been just like a better, classier, more insightful way to go about that. But you know, it's so easy as a Zoomer with these fucking, you know, being the first generation to grow up with these tools that the generations above us had to learn along the way that we were just born into knowing. Like, it's so easy to not be thoughtful or not be cautious or careful, I guess, about how you are using these tools and how the way we use technology and the way we treat each other in person has like bled into one thing, and how there's kind of, it's hard to be aware of when to separate.
Yeah, I think, you know, again, I agree. I think with porn, it's like, I think obviously porn has a couple issues, but the real problem, as a horny guy in the post-Me Too era, which is incredibly brave of me, thank you very much, I think the combination of the fear that has created with men, and then the ability to retract within yourself with porn is like a catastrophic thing that we haven't even diagnosed yet. Where
Yes.
if you're a man who's afraid and you can beat your dick all day long and feel some level of intimacy,
Yes.
why would you ever in your life
Right.
approach a woman in person
Exactly.
or anything like that?
It's a tool of isolation, and I think that porn in itself is not bad. Like, I don't really like to moralize
No, me either.
specific things.
I'm addicted
like,
to it.
I don't.
TBH.
I don't think drugs are bad. Like, I don't think alcohol is bad. Like, I don't think anything is bad. I think it depends on how you treat it, how you go about it, how it makes you feel is what makes it good or bad. But also, like, not everything is good or bad. Everything kind of exists in undulating shades of gray, which is one of my favorite things to say. Undulating shades of gray.
I mean, if we got to get a word counter. You're fucking absolutely crushing.
But you know, like, I think, yeah, porn is something that is so prevalent for people of my generation. The use of it, the being able to, like, kind of exercise your sexual desires and your fears and whatnot onto it, because it's, like, easy and you can project anything you want onto it, and it can be anything, and it's so infinite. But that's not, you know, always how real life works, and I think that's fine. Like, fantasy can exist.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, you know, do away with fantasy. I think fantasy is a useful tool. I think fantasy is good for the brain. I think it's, like, expansive, and it gives you something to strive for, and it gives you dreams. And it, you know, if we all lived always with our feet on the ground, then what would ever be made, and what needles would ever be pushed forward? But, you know, I think that we just have to figure out, like, I mean, sex ed in this country is already so bad, and it's just getting worse. But, like, I think, like, it could be so beneficial if, like, young people were taught how to talk about pornography without having to, like, be thrown in off the deep end and figure it out themselves and have it be just, like, an open secret.
Is every man you go out with that is your age or in your generation, if you do, or do they all have erectile dysfunction?
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about that a little?
Yes.
As a guy who's also had this problem,
I love this is the stuff. This is, like, really where I am in my greatest, like, intellectual wheelhouse, is, like, being able to talk about Gen Z sexual politics and sexual relationships, because
you're crushing right
I'm
now.
really good at this. I'm really good at this. This is my lane. Yes. So men in my generation all have severe erectile dysfunction, and it's really crazy. I always thought, I didn't realize it was, like, a specifically, like, Zoomer malady until very recently. I spoke to my mother about it. My mom and I were walking around. We were in Italy on a trip together. We were walking around, and around Christmas, and I asked her. I was like, because my mama, she'd been around the dick block.
Hey, so is mine.
She'd been around the dick block a wee bit, and so I asked her, when you were my age, did men have erectile dysfunction? Like, when you were in your 20s, were men struggling to get hard? And she was like, what are you talking about?
I've asked my mom the same thing. She said, absolutely
yeah,
not.
She said, what are you talking about? And I was like, you know, like, erectile dysfunction. She was like, what old people get? And I was like, first of all, you kind of are old people, but whatever. She was like, what old people get? Like, guys in, like, their 60s and 70s that they have to take Viagra for? And I was like, when you were 26, guys that were 26 got boners? And she was like, yeah, what are you saying?
We're so doomed.
What are you saying? And that really hit me, because I was like, maybe it's always been this way.
Right.
Of course it's not always been this way.
Of course not.
Oh, fucking course it's not always been this way.
Well, the listeners know I had this problem for a long time, but mine was religious shame. I had a lot of religious shame.
You grew up religious.
Yes, I couldn't get comfortable in my body. But I think this generation, it's not. It's a totally different. I think it's like a performance thing.
Yeah.
So you see all this porn and you go, I gotta fuck like that. And then you get a naked woman in front of you and you go, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Not that I would know.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a literacy issue where you think that there's a difficulty having, like, the media and thinking comprehension to differentiate between fantasy and real life.
Yeah.
And so then you think, like, what is being represented on the screen is the truth. And it's like, we don't go out in the world thinking Star Wars is real, because we know how to differentiate between the fantasy of movies and the truth of real life. With porn, it's like, because sex is such a, like, kind of base and carnal and, like, instinctual and also, like, natural and common, and yet kind of taboo and hid away thing. It exists in that weird space where, like, yeah, people watch porn and they just think, oh, this must be what it is. And also, this is the only place that I'm safe to, you know, act upon my desires or explore myself, because otherwise what are the ramifications politically, socially, interpersonally.
Right. Do you have sympathy for a man going through that, or are you fucking over it?
Erectile dysfunction?
Yeah, I can't imagine as a woman how annoying that would be.
It's annoying, sure, but I am sympathetic to it because I understand that it's not about me.
Right.
I know that it's like
You hear that, everyone?
It doesn't exist in a vacuum. I mean, it's you got to look at the greater cultural context.
Yes.
You got to look at the greater cultural context.
You really might be a genius. When I was 20, I was not talking about this shit.
You gotta look at the greater cultural context because like it's a variety of different factors. Again, I'm holding a fucking vape. Like this is a tool of isolation right here. You know, It's like you can do this anywhere. To smoke a cigarette, you gotta go outside, fucking look in the world, like observe things around you, hear things, see things. You can vape from like your fucking bed.
A tool of isolation.
Tools of fucking isolation.
Yeah.
Like we have all these tools of isolation, so people are becoming more like disparate and asocial. Even though we're like technically more connected than ever because of social media, humans are like in-person based social creatures, and so you know when a guy can't get a boner, I mean it's very frustrating. I like had sex with a guy once who like was like an hour of foreplay. I was sucking his dick for like fucking. Maybe 30 minutes, which like that to get me to even open my mouth that wide, not to speak or scream rape or fire is huge. I really was feeling generous that night, and it kept just like it was like at half mast. It was like he was gorgeous. He turned out to be a gay guy who was also a rapist, but it was
tale as old as time.
As old as fucking time. You know, like it kept going like at half mast, and then it was like soft, and then it was whatever. And then finally he got it up, and I asked to get on top, and then he went, it's gone again. And then he went, okay, I'm gonna set an alarm for 30 minutes. I'm gonna wake up in 30 minutes. I'll be ready. I was like, okay. He falls asleep for exactly 30 minutes. His autonomic nervous system, impeccable. Wakes up at the 30-minute mark, immediately is inside of me, and I was like, well, okay. well. My pussy dried up in that 30 minutes, so the cold air of your bedroom kind of dried out all of the lubrication that went from whence came of my pussy. So,
right.
But I guess, you know, this can sound like a door hinge. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, the last guy I had sex with before, I just broke
Can I just say, I've been that guy before as well. I've had a woman get on top and go, it ain't gonna happen.
It's okay,
on account
and
of
that's
what's
okay.
happened to me as a child.
But like the last guy I had sex with before, the person I just broke my almost 2-year celibacy with. Heyo. Because guess what? Girls can have problems too.
Woo!
Girls can desire to get hard and not really get there either.
Yeah, what is the female equivalent of that?
Dry ass pussy. Dry ass fucking pussy, dude. But the guy that I had sex with before this most recent time, like he was on the night of our date, he was our first date. He was making out with a gay guy at the bar the whole time, and I was drunk as fuck, obviously so happy about it because I literally love when boys kiss. It's like actually that kind of gets me the fuck going. Like when boys kiss, bruh, like nuh-uh, like don't let me hump the fucking armrest of this bar stool right now. Like fuck, like I will go for it. But like he was making out with this gay guy all night. We go back to his place, just me and him, and we're like,
did he say he was gay?
The gay guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, right.
The gay guy was obviously gay.
Right.
You know, you can tell.
Right.
But my guy was just gay for attention.
Right.
Because
nice.
he's rowdy and like addicted to Adderall, and so you know you have to kind of do shit when you're on that wave, when you're on that tip.
Right.
But you know, we go back to his place and we're like fooling around, whatever, and then it's like he hits up the gay guy asking the gay guy for dick pills, and then the gay guy goes to an orgy. Comes to the apartment after 4 hours. So we've been waiting 4 hours to have sex. He takes the dick pills. They don't kick in for another hour. We're fucking. At this point, the alcohol's wearing off. And this was back before I had ever had sex, not totally wasted or on drugs, so that I could dissociate and not feel it because it's too confrontational and the intimacy is too frightening. And confronting my own inadequacy in that way is too difficult. And so being drunk just gave me an excuse. Anyway, so finally he's like fucking me, and it's like so brief, it like hurts. His like dick is like huge, and it's like it hurts, and I had like only ever had slept with guys with like basically the exact same standard white American cock, and this was like a crazy ass white boy with like a big hog, and so like the handle.
Always a crazy white
I would
boy.
describe it to my friends as like it's like the handle of a rotary phone. Hello, that cock was like you grip it, you palm it, and you go, hello, who's calling?
Was he tall and skinny?
No, he was like.
Damn, really?
He
They
was
always
like-
got the big thick ones.
He was like 5'8" and had like this like a great body, which is like a little pudgy, but like skinny fat, which I like on a guy.
Is
'cause
that
it's,
the
like, very
ideal male
human.
body, like a little?
I mean,
little
I
pudgy?
just like a body that feels like like it's a real person's.
Right.
Like I like a man who's like too image conscious. I don't really like. Like I
Right,
like
yeah.
if you have like dirt under your fingernails. I'm a very forgiving person. Is also the thing with men is like I really most things that other women would very easily get the ick about. I can flip into being just like very novel and charming.
Yeah.
So like if a guy has like if a guy has like his job is like if he's like a DoorDasher and he like, you know, like lives with his mother and like it's just like if something is fucked up about his life or like off about his life and he's too old to be getting away with his behavior or something is like kind of a red flag about him, I can be like, no, but he's like idiosyncratic and charming.
Right.
He's like in his own fucking lane. So
You
I don't
see
know
the
what the fuck
best
you're
in
talking. Yes,
people.
I'm like, so what? He's an alcoholic. He's trying his hardest. He likes to have fun. Is that fucking wrong? Which has gotten me in a
Well,
lot
what's
of
a
shit.
red flag? What's a red flag that you can't put up with?
Well, nowadays, because I'm sober, like a red flag for me is definitely like
An
a
alcoholic.
alcoholic, drug addict. I've dated not plenty, but I've dated addicts in the past, and it's very difficult. But that was also when I was, you know, not
Right.
sober, and so it was easier then to like kind of have a relationship that was like predicated on like ketamine nonsense, like shared ketamine nonsense of like let's just like get fucked up and giggle. But it's
Yeah.
like I can't do that anymore, bitch. I'm grown.
Right.
It's just time for me to step the fuck. I gotta get up on my good foot.
Right.
But anyway, this guy, he is fucking me. It's very brief. It hurts. It's dry. I'm not drunk anymore, and so I'm like, who even
Yes,
am I
sorry for
sexually
getting
if I'm not
this.
wasted? And then I just go, can you get out of me after like 5 minutes? And then he like rolls over and he goes, that kind of felt like I was raping you a little bit. And I went, yeah, I know, sorry. That's how I fuck. I fuck like a dead bitch. I fuck like a victim. I fuck like a victim of something. I fuck like my pussy is terminally ill.
Some would call that a good thing. You know? You never know.
I just like, I really lay there. But this most recent time that I had sex, it was a nice experience because I like actually was sober and I like felt present for it. But like, I have no sexual stamina. Like it's all exhausting for me. And so very quickly I'm like, I can't, I'm really bored.
Yeah.
And so basically what I had him do was I just laid down on my back and I monologue jokes at him for 5 minutes uninterrupted while he jerked off onto my stomach. That is my fucking shit, dude. That fucking works for me.
Right.
Because
Everyone's got their thing.
men never let me talk or make jokes during sex. And so the reason I always am quiet and like still and motionless during sex is because every time I would try in the past to make a joke or like alleviate the tension, they would be like, just like, please be quiet. Or like, can you like moan or something? Or like, can you just not say that? Because I'd like make a weird, funny joke about like the situation. And they would always be like, dude, if you keep talking, like I'm gonna get soft. Like that's happened. Men have told that to me before during sex.
Okay.
And so that's kind of trained me to be like, okay, sex is the time where I shut the fuck up and I like.
Really?
Yeah.
That's sad.
And so then the other night, I'm hooking up with this guy that I'm seeing, and he like I got tired of fucking, and so he just like was like, okay, I'm just gonna jerk off on you, and I was like, great. And so I'm just like laying there, looking into his eyes, making like jokes, like laughing, like sharing our inside jokes, like being funny, making him like cackle laughing, and then he laughed so hard that he came, and I was like, I was like, this is what it should be. Don't touch my fucking pussy. Like, I don't want my fucking pussy touched. That's my trauma zone. Like, don't touch my wee wee. Don't touch my fucking wee wee.
You are autistic.
Yeah,
for sure.
really severely.
Don't touch my wee wee.
Don't touch my fucking wee wee. Like, don't touch my coochie. Like, it's got problems. Like, don't touch my fucking problem coochie. Like, but I can make you laugh. Like, that's what I'm good for, is I can like really make somebody fucking laugh or like look at things in a new way. But if you want a blowjob, you gonna get bit. I'm sorry. You gonna get bit. I'm sorry, twin. I'm sorry. My teeth won't hit that shit.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in love? Do you feel like you've been in love?
No, I mean,
I feel like the type of man it would require for you to kind of intellectually be compatible with is very rare.
yes. And
Is that a struggle for you?
yeah, absolutely. And men are very afraid of me.
Yeah.
And I date both men and women, but I, dated a girl in college who I was like, because in the past, like if feelings are reciprocated for me emotionally, I shut down. Like I yearn so hard, and then the second anything is reciprocated, I'm like scared of the potential for intimacy, and so then I kind of just shut down or run away and become like a ghost or like a dissociative mess. And so I had a situation like that with somebody I was dating, and then she like cut me out of her life like totally because she was like, truth be told, like I'm afraid of you because you know yourself so well and I have no idea who I am, and I find it freaky that you have such a strong sense of self, and I, for my own ego's sake, I can't know you or be around you. And then I became like, in my like year of like addiction and psychosis, I became like, she was like the object of my affection. I was like, I'm gonna get everything in my life right so I can get her back.
Oh, Ivy, I've been there a billion
totally
times.
futile, and I was projecting things onto the idea of her that didn't actually mean anything to me. It was just I needed to sort of gamify my life. I needed to play my life like it was a video game because I was hallucinating that there was bugs under my skin. So I was like, well, this shit is Mario, right? No, bitch, it's not Mario. Go to AA. But like, I thought in her absence that I was in love with her, but it was just like psychotic delusion. It was just like a symptom of my like decreasing mental health, like my deteriorating mental state. So no, I don't think I've actually been in love, but that's because like largely most of my desire and affection has gone totally unreciprocated. Like I don't.
Are you? Would you call that rejection, or just in general, like you put yourself out there and someone says no?
Oh yeah, all the time. I put myself out there really vehemently, and it just doesn't work.
Does that bother you, or have you been rejected enough to where it doesn't?
I think it really does hurt, but also like I am such kind of an emotional masochist that I've learned to like, in a way, let it like define me, and so I wonder even artistically, intellectually, emotionally who I would be if I were to all of a sudden become girl who is in love, girl who is married, girl with like a loving boyfriend or girlfriend. Like I don't know what that version of myself would be, because I feel like where I mine the most inspiration is from the feelings of like tumult and rejection and like so, and that sucks that that's on my mind instead of like I really just want to be in love because I desire it. I'm also thinking like, well, what if somebody does love me, then what kind of comedian am I going to become? And then that makes me not want to do it. So I become addicted to the rejection, and also the feeling of chasing somebody who's not interested in me is more satisfying than being scared of like what could happen if it is reciprocated.
Preach. Yes, it's almost easier to chase someone who has no interest than it is to actually throw yourself out there against someone who you could actually be compatible with.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but I mean, I pursue a lot of people. I flirt, I DM slide, like I be doing the work, like I could shoot or shoot, players play.
That's how I feel.
But
absolutely.
like,
let it ride.
But most of the time, like I would say I have like a 99% fail rate. It doesn't work.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it's like, people don't. I don't think I'm somebody that's very easy to be attracted to. I think I'm like a very I'm an acquired taste. Like I'm very specific, and it requires sort of a lot of like mental fortitude and like flexibility and like plasticity in your brain in order to be able to like consume everything that I am giving to you all the time. And also on top of that, the pussy is trash. Like also like on top of all of that, the pussy is fucking trash. It's so trash.
I've got to be honest. One of the things we talk about on this show is I don't know if it's possible for pussy to be trash. You can kind of not do a lot. Maybe that's not true. Some of it's trash, but I don't think it's as bad as you think it is.
It's just like,
I think you're so smart that you're hyper analyzing yourself during sex and everything, and you can't you just like,
I can't let go.
Yeah, you're doing like color commentary.
Yes.
Your pussy's probably fine.
It's probably like suffices, but it's like it's not great. Like I'm not gonna squirt and do a cartwheel on it, You can't like fuck my ass and find gold in my colon. Like that's not gonna happen. I'm very rigid. I'm very specific and very rigid in that way. And I have the desire to learn and to explore, but it's not that easy for me because like I'm so kind of hyper analytical and neurotic that in and I consider myself a very fearless person in life.
Yeah.
Like I go for everything I want. I don't worry about what other people think of me. I know who I am. I'm insecure, sure, and like
tell me about your
shameful,
weaknesses a little. What do you think might be a weakness? And
I
the only reason
mean-
I'm asking is because people listen to this are also experiencing these feelings. I'm not trying to like expose you.
No, of course. My weaknesses, I think I can sort of be. I think my lack of a filter can definitely be a weakness because people's feelings can get hurt because I never do anything with bad intentions or out of cruelty, but I just sort of follow my heart and my voice so strongly that I don't really consider how that other people don't live their life that way or rule their life that way, and that other people aren't at the place that I'm at. I think my weakness is like kind of like a deep fear that there is something like biologically unlovable about me, or that there's something like so wrong with me that is like an unnameable vibe that people just like you can't really define it, but you can look at me and be like in the way that everybody, like when you meet every new person, you like size them up in their mind, like could I fuck this person, could I not fuck this person, like and then you make your choice and then you proceed from there. It's like I feel like there is something in me where most people look at me and they're like, oh, I would not fuck that. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know why, but I just really, it's like, what? Huh? And so, I think that my big fear is that like that is the truth about me, like biologically, like
I promise you, Ivy, I'm telling you, you're gonna be fine.
I know. I'm sure, but it's like, I just am like so kind of daddy issues pilled that it's like,
I get it.
Yeah.
Have daddy issues had a big impact on your life? And if so, what?
Oh, absolutely.
In what way?
I think like I was very aware from a very early age that I was never going to be able to like impress my father enough or be nice enough or be, there enough for him to be able to get over his own issues. He's just not somebody that was supposed to have children, I think. Like, it just wasn't, like, it's just like it happened, and, now we're all fucking picking up the pieces, and I'm podcasting in Bushwick, but, like...
I don't do that to you.
Yeah, I don't do that to you. But, it's like, I think I learned at a very early age. I just always felt this kind of very potent rejection from my father, and then I realized maybe around 10 or 11, like, oh, it's not about me. It's not about me at all. But then when I was 16, so my mom was with a guy for like 10 years from the time I was 6 to 16, and he like basically raised me as his own, taught me how to swim, taught me how to drive, taught me how to tie my shoes, like all that. And when I was 16, we lived in his house. He had a midlife crisis and just decided on a random night that my mom and I had to be out of the house in a week, and just kicked us out of the house.
Classic poverty thing. Similar things.
He was rich. He was rich.
I know, but you guys were poor.
We were poor. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been in a similar situation.
Yeah. He kicked the poor bitch. He kicked little orphan Annie and Miss Hannigan to the curb.
I've also been kicked out of a home as well. Yes.
When did you get kicked out of a home?
Our neighbors were our landlords, and they booted us out in 1 week and then bulldozed the house the next.
Fuck, that's so rough.
I have a whole thing with
my mom and I had to move back to like the neighborhood I grew up in, and like go back there and just like sort of figure out what our lives were gonna look like now that we didn't have like this like benefactor who loved us, and like and now I have like an okay relationship with my father. Like, we communicate. It's not a deep relationship by any means. Like, it's not. My mother and I are like our relationship is very personal and deep and like fiercely loving. My father is like kind of a guy I know.
Yeah.
Who I catch up with. My ex-stepdad, now we sometimes will send me money, which is nice, but we don't speak. I mean, he like literally raised me for the better part of a decade of my life, and he's no presence, just overnight like that, just nothing. And so that abandonment really re-triggered feelings that I had from when I was a child that I had worked through at a very young age, of just like, oh, like there's something about me that is not worth it for a man to stick around for. Like, there's not any good qualities in me that make it worth it for a man to be like, well, there's incentive to stay. Like, there's a lack in me that on paper, like when you're adding up the pros and cons of like sticking to the way your life looks like, there's not something like a glimmering beam in my heart that makes a man want to stick around. And so my thing with dating is I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
I'm always waiting for somebody to start hating me or resenting me or fearing me or being ashamed of me. And I mean, people I've dated in the past have like been outwardly ashamed of me, have told me as much, that they are afraid of me, that they are ashamed of me, that they don't want to be seen with me. I've been in relationships that were secret, that the other person kept hidden.
Really?
And so, you know, there's like a lot of that baggage where I'm like, every time I date, I'm like, the thing I'm thinking of the most is like, I am going to just be abandoned and wounded or strung along and like left, or I'm going to be so scared that I leave. And it's never, because like love doesn't happen for somebody like me because of like all of the like the synthesis of all of just this like fucked up shit and like the idea that I have of myself of like somebody that is easy to say no to, somebody that is easy to leave.
I think you'd be surprised, you know, again, fellas, I think that a lot of people feel that way. You know?
Sure.
And I think, you know, yeah, I totally understand, but I think you're definitely not alone, and God knows the fucking listeners of this fucking show are probably right in that same fucking alley. First off, I just want to say, Ivy, an incredible interview portion of the show. Normally we do about a half hour, then a half hour of questions, but you're just absolutely spitting, and I couldn't stop asking you. Thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah. It's easy for me.
Incredible. Well, the last little portion here, let me ask you a couple of rapid fire questions, and feel free to
I feel like this episode was not funny.
I say all the time, first off, it was funny, and second off, I hate funny podcasts.
Okay.
If they're funny because the people are funny, by all means, but I do not do a podcast to laugh.
Okay, good.
God forbid you have a podcast where someone finds out about the other human being. Anyways, with that being said, y'all know the motherfucking drill, folks. Welcome to the question portion of the show. And of course, as always, our first fucking question, as it is on every single episode, and the boys know what's coming because every episode we get a different answer. How in Christ's name do you approach a woman in public?
Ooh, I think
And can we?
yes.
Okay, some women say leave me alone.
No, I think absolutely you can. And you should. I mean, maybe assess the vibe, like if she's deep in conversation with her friends, or you know, read the room a little bit. Like if if she seems tied up or busy, don't hover outside of the group and wait until she looks over her shoulder, because then she's gonna be like,
"What if you're walking alone down the street?"
No,
right?
Because that's like danger zone for women. Like immediately, there's something in your body physiologically that associates that with danger. But I think it's important because, like we were talking about earlier, how we've become like very kind of sexually and emotionally isolated and fearful, like fear driven. And people are worried that making a misstep will not only embarrass them, but have like ramifications for their lives, like big stakes for their lives. Or will like have people label them as XYZ, whatever. It's made people very afraid to be forward with their feelings. And so people are very coy and manipulative in dating, which as an autistic person, again, that makes it very hard for me because I don't have that urge or that skill set.
Yeah.
And so I think being forward really is the best way to go. And also I know plenty of women who, are like, men don't hit on me anymore. Like men don't approach me in bars. Like I'll go out wearing like a cute outfit, like looking to like get some, and like nobody will talk to me the whole fucking night. And it's like, is it about me? And I'm like, no, it's because people are full of fear. People are full of fear, and so then we all just go home alone and fearful, and then, how does that advance us? How does that make new connections? How does that open any doors? And so I think how to approach a woman is like, be nice, be earnest, be yourself.
And make sure it's because I think the question we always get confused on is, sometimes I see like a beautiful woman on the train, and I just want to like go over to her and be like, I have to let you know, I want to, and I freak out and I can't fucking get my words out. But also like you were saying, like not on a train maybe, or in the street, in the right place.
Yeah, right place, right time. Like just get good at assessing a vibe, which can be hard, but and trust me, I know full well that assessing a vibe is difficult.
Horrifying.
But
Nothing's
horrifying.
Scarier than assessing a vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like you can kind of train yourself to think about it more logistically. And so, and obviously everything depends, I guess. But I think like if you want to do it, you should do it, because I think you know, even though rejection is painful and difficult, like, we need to all be working on bridging the gaps that we've built between ourselves and that capitalism has built between us.
Ivy, you're kind of a legend. Let's fucking go. This might be my favorite episode of all time. Okay, and how about another question, folks? If you could change one thing about men, what would it be? And you don't have to be, you know, it can be anything. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to even have to be eloquent. You can be like, I wish you'd stop wearing your fucking pants like that or whatever.
I wish men knew themselves better.
Preach. Speak
I
on
wish
that.
I wish men were able to articulate themselves better and had like more interiority, but they don't.
Right.
Some do, but largely they don't because they don't have to. That's not the expectation for them to have rich inner lives.
How do you think, what do you think would be a good way for a man to get started doing that?
I don't
Vulnerability?
know. Yeah, I think just like really thinking deeply. Just trying. Just trying to
How the hell are they supposed to do that?
push out a thought like a hard shit. Like just try.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Focusing on like intimacy in your friendships, like, you know, being honest about how you feel about things with your friends. Not everything has to be fun and frivolous. Like,
Not every podcast has to be funny.
right. Like, not every friendship has to just be like riffing and pranks and smoking joints and drinking beers. Like be like, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's on my mind. Don't repress it. I think being less repressed and more thoughtful could really open men up.
One thing I've been doing recently with my boys back home is we do this thing where we send I saw it on TikTok. We send each other videos every week on Tuesday or Wednesday and recapping our weeks. And so my boys would be like, you know, hey, I lost $5,000 gambling. But
That's really that's good.
yeah, I think that's something like that's a good place to start if you're a
Boy news.
Boy news, especially if you're feeling lonely as a man. You know,
absolutely.
because God knows male loneliness is real, but sometimes I feel like that shit's a little overrated.
I think the male loneliness epidemic is like really
buzzwordy now.
Yes, and I also think largely it's like self-inflicted.
Yes,
I think
agree.
there are things that men could do to change it from the inside out, but then they kind of just want women to sweep in and do it for them, or they think that like they'll be fucked back to life, or like, you know, if they get the right amount of pussy, that everything else will even out. But it's like,
You're
no,
right.
actually, you got to look into your heart.
You're absolutely right. You hear that, fellas? Look into your fucking heart.
Look into your heart, kiddo.
Okay, 2 questions left. I love the. Okay, and the other one is, what's the craziest thing a man has ever said to you?
Oh my God. I was having sex with a guy once. Well, because I say a lot of crazy things to men, and
That's kind of why I wanted to ask you this.
Men are often very scandalized by me, and so sometimes they try to like match my energy. I was having sex with a guy in college, and I grabbed his ass, and he went, "You grabbed my ass like the babysitter that molested me did." And I went, "What?" And he said, "I was just trying to think of the most Ivy Wolk thing to say
I was
right
about
now."
to say kind of an Ivy classic.
Yeah. He had to pull out an Ivy classic. He tried to match my freak. I appreciated the gesture.
Yeah, that's actually I have nothing but respect to that. Man.
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, and our final question. I literally wrote this down right before you got here, and feel free to speak on it, Queen. What is snow bunny theory? Ivy posted on her story right before this pod. I could write an essay on snow bunny theory.
Snow bunny theory. Well, you know, a snow bunny is like a what? It's not. I don't really have like, there is not a snow bunny theory, but it's like a snow bunny
It's
is
your
like,
snow bunny theory.
yeah, a snow bunny is just like a white woman who fucks black men, and there is just like, there are so many different kind of phenotypes of snow bunny that like I feel like I've spent so much time observing and like getting to know and understand, and I feel like if I really put pen to paper, like really hit the books or like started looking, I could like articulate something insane about the snow bunny and the different types of snow bunnies and the circumstances that breed a snow bunny.
Right, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Because there is about 5 or 6 of them that you can kind of
Yes.
Draw lineage from.
Yes.
You know, from the grand phenotype, whatever that would be called. I'm not smart enough for
but
that.
the snow bunny, yeah. The snow bunny is a very, you know it when you see it. It's a very specific type of white female, but there's subtypes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Are you one of those subtypes?
I've dated black men, but I wouldn't
mean
consider
like that,
myself
but yeah.
Exclusively a snow bunny, because it is a fetish. Like it's a
Yeah, certainly.
To be a snow bunny, you are a fetishist, and I wouldn't consider myself a fetishist of. I think maybe a big part of me is probably a fetishist of like black culture. I think as any Jew is like, I kind of like every Jewish woman, I'm a black guy. So I think like I think
it's poverty brain. We come from poverty.
It's poverty
I have a
brain.
similar thing.
It's absolutely poverty brain. I'm like, yeah, I'm really from these streets, and it's like, no, your mom just had credit card debt. Like you're not from the streets.
I listen to rappers. I'm like, this is like my story.
Yeah, and it's like, no,
Overcoming the
Ivy,
odds.
you're from central Los Angeles. Like you're not from the streets.
Yeah, I wasn't selling crack.
Like
to survive.
you grew up by Melrose. Like you're not from the streets. That's the Supreme store. Like it's fine. But like but yeah, like I think definitely. I mean, Black people are the arbiters of culture.
Yeah, my favorite.
I think black people are the creators of culture, and Jews have been the facilitators and the benefactors.
God damn, you are a genius. You're absolutely right.
Jews grease the wheel, and then Black people just create everything good that we have. Yeah, that's what I think.
You're so right.
Yeah, everything interesting that we have, everything funny that we have, everything like boundary pushing that we have. I think for the most part, everything we say, how we speak, how we use the internet, all of that was just like Black people just having that in them.
You're 100% right. Take it from me, a white guy with earrings.
Mm-hmm.
Ivy, what an absolutely incredible interview. Maybe my favorite episode we've ever done. I really appreciate you.
Wow.
I find you to be brilliant and exactly the kind of voice I'm looking for, to be quite honest, and exactly who we want on this goddamn show. Y'all know the drill. The practical advice for weird little guys being cool. Too long of a title. I barely remember the fucking name podcast. Ivy Wolk, give him the plug. Give me a high five. Tell, what is it? Where's the show in Charlotte? It won't come out, but you know.
Duckworth's, the comedy club at Duckworth's. And then May 16th at the Bell House, my show, Struggle Bus with Nick Viagas. We've got Tessa Fleming, Dina Hashem, Anthony DeVito, and Gio Perez. Great lineup. And it's an amazing show. I think it's the best live show in New York City. And
Nick will be on in a few weeks.
Great. I love Nick.
Me too. The GOAT.
Yeah. So, 5/16, 7:30 p.m., the Bell House.
Y'all know the drill. Thanks so much for tuning in. God bless all the listeners. We're back, baby. Credit card in hand. Y'all know the motherfucking drill. Shout out to all the Jews, blacks, queers, gays, straights, everyone but the Zionists. Free Palestine.
And shout out the whores.
And shout out to whores as well. You know we love you. Thank you.